Hey everyone, Jim here, and in this video I'm going to show you can download Drupal and install it directly on top of a LAMP server. Now this process also works really well for WordPress or any other common web application. In the past, I've seen students download these zip files onto the local computer, extract it using something like 7-zip, and then have to wait a long period of time for those files to individually upload using something like FTP, which a lot of students tend to use FileZilla for. This process is more direct, and you also get some experience with Linux, which is a really good skill to have. Now, I'm going to be SSHing into my remote LAMP server. SSH stands for Secure Shell. It's a common way that IT administrators manage Linux environments. I'll be using PuTTY, which is a free application you can download from putty.org. But if you're in Windows, PowerShell can also be used. And if you're in macOS or Linux, you're welcome to use the built-in terminal. So first step is, in PuTTY, I'm going to log in, typing in my server's hostname. For me, that's uwmsoas.com. And then I'm going to sign in with my username and password. Now, as I type my password, you'll notice that you don't see any text on the screen. This is intentional. So if someone is shoulder surfing or if you're watching this screen recording, you're less likely to know how many characters I type out in the password field. I'll hit enter, and assuming I've entered in the correct credentials, I'm going to log on to the server. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of some reconnaissance here and just see kind of where I am in the environment. PWD stands for present working directory. This will tell me kind of where I am. I'm going to see what files and folders exist in here using the command ls. So I'm outside my public HTML directory, and I want to move in there so that way when I install Drupal, it's accessible on the internet. So I'm going to cd or change directory into public HTML. As I'm typing, I can hit the tab key on my keyboard, and that'll autofill any matching records. So public underscore matches public FTP and HTML, so it stops. If I type H, I can hit tab again on my keyboard, and it'll autofill. It's a really nice little trick to have. Now from here, just again, another ls to list out any files and folders. You can see I have a couple different Drupal directories. I've been testing this, demoing it in class today. I'm still going to make one more. I'm going to type in mkdir and type in Drupal 4 as a new folder or directory name. It is created, and I can verify with another ls. And as you can see, it shows up here on the screen. So I'm going to cd into Drupal 4. Make sure there's nothing in here by issuing another ls. And now from here, I can actually download Drupal directly into this folder. And again, the same process can work for WordPress or any other common web application that's available in a zip format with a link on the internet. So I'm on the Drupal download page. If you go to drupal.org/download, or if you just Google for Drupal download, you'll get to this page. From here, I'm going to scroll down, and any of these file formats could work. But the zip format is oftentimes most convenient for novices. So I'm going to right-click on Drupal download, right-click and say copy link address. And this is going to copy the download link. You don't want to copy this text, but you actually want the URL that is linked to this text on the screen. So I have that in my clipboard, and I'm going to use the command called wget. This will allow us to remotely retrieve this zip file directly from the internet and put it right on the server because I'm remoted into my LAMP server using SSH. If I just simply right-click into the terminal here, it's going to paste that URL into the screen. So wget with a link to download the latest zip file format. Hit enter, and you see that I quickly downloaded this file into this directory. I can verify by typing ls, and it's a little bit confusing. Most times applications will have I'll say Drupal version 9.whatever.zip. This one is just called zip without a file extension, but I can guarantee this is actually a Drupal file. And you can even do something like ls-la to see a little bit more information about this file and the file size, which indicates that it's quite large in size, quite large for a file that might have something in it at least. So now I can use the command unzip, and I can use this to unzip any zip file. So I'll unzip the zip file that I've downloaded, and that's going to extract the Drupal software. As you can see, I now have the Drupal directory. If I navigate inside of it, you'll see that it's full of different files that consist of Drupal, which is a web application. PHP files, JSON files, other types of README documents and stuff like that. So now I can move on to the next step. I just want to verify that I can launch the Drupal installer. So to do that, I'm going to navigate to the folder that I had created. So mine was Drupal 4. And from within here, I can see that I have my Drupal directory. I'm going to click on it, and the installer now loads. Now that it's loaded, I can continue with installation. I'm going to go ahead and do the demo install just so I have some content in the database. And now it's going to ask me for some database information. So a wide variety of database platforms are supported. I'm going to be using MySQL. Now, I don't currently have a database set for this, so I'm going to make a database using my cPanel account. Going into MySQL databases, I'm going to make a new database. I'll just call this one Drupal 4. And I'll make a new user account to go along with it. Generate a password. And I'll finally go ahead and add my user into the database so it has access to create the various tables and columns. So let me go into Add User to Database, select Drupal 4, to Drupal 4. And I'm going to select all privileges. In the real world, you probably don't want to have one user account that has access to everything and use that one user account for everything. You would have these permissions segregated and separated out a little bit. But for testing and learning purposes, the all privileges is essentially the easy button. So we're going to leave that one selected. Go ahead and say Make Changes. It's been added in. And I can now go to my Drupal installer page, type in my database username and database name. And you might be wondering, why do I have Shoal253 prepended to the front on my database name? Well, that's because I'm on a shared LAMP environment, and to ensure that all databases are unique, cPanel is going to force my username as part of any users I create or any databases I create. So that way any other students in my class can also set up a Drupal account or Drupal database with the same name, because they have their own unique namespace housed under their user ID. Paste in the password I had saved in my clipboard. And Drupal is going to install. So depending on the speed of your server, this is going to take anywhere from 30 seconds to a few minutes to complete. This server is pretty speedy. I was doing this in class today with a bunch of students, and it took a little bit of time. We had 30-something students all doing it at once. But with me just on the server right now, I'm expecting this to take maybe a minute or two at absolute most. After this process is complete, it's going to ask me just to finalize a few things with some additional information. The way that this works for WordPress is almost identical. You download the WordPress zip file into the server, you unzip it, you go to the directory, you start the installer, you create a database and put in this database information, and you follow the wizard. It's a pretty straightforward process. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in some information. And it's going to finish configuring my Drupal site. And again, this process should only take a second or two. And as you can see, it has completed, and my Drupal site is now live. I'm free to administer it, poke around in the database. In fact, if I were to go into PHPMyAdmin, you'd even be able to poke around in the back end of the database, which can be fun in itself. So as you can see, there's tons of different tables that contain the various pieces of information required for Drupal to operate. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you back for the next one.